Before listen, lock your door.
Subscribe for daily horror story.
First story.
My cousin once told me, if you ever feel like the trail behind you is different than the one ahead, don't turn around. Just keep walking. I didn't believe him, but I should have. It was supposed to be a quick overnight hike. I'd done tougher ones. The plan was to take an old side trail off the Appalachian loop, locals called it. Sand Ridge Pass. Wasn't on any official map, but I'd read about it on a hiker's forum. A little overgrown, but scenic. Quiet. Exactly what I needed. The weather was perfect that day. Crisp air, golden leaves. No one around for miles. I started hiking around 3 p.m. The trail wound through a dense patch of spruce before opening into a ridge with sweeping views of green. Valleys on both sides. For the first hour, everything felt peaceful. Then I started noticing something strange. The trail behind me never looked quite the same when I glanced back. Roots I'd stepped over were gone. Boulders had shifted. Even the trees seemed angled differently subtly, but enough. I told myself it was just my imagination. The sun dipped low, so I made camp near a crooked cedar tree. Set my tent just off trail beneath a large boulder. I ate, wrote a few lines in my journal, listened to some music, and turned in early at 2:17 a.m. I woke to a snap outside the tent, then silence. Then something brushed along the side of the tent. Slow, like a hand dragging its fingers across the fabric. I didn't move, didn't breathe. Then a whisper, low, right outside the flap, keep walking. I unzipped the tent and flashed my light. Nothing, no footprints, no movement, but sitting. At the entrance was a trail marker. One of the old wooden ones, used decades ago. Faded lettering carved into it. Returning costs more. I packed up and started walking before the sun came up. No map, no compass, just instinct. But the trail didn't match anything I'd seen on the way in. Even though I hadn't taken any turns, every so often I'd spot a sign I'd passed earlier. A broken twig, my boot print in mud, but always just ahead of me. Then I noticed something worse, a second set of footprints. Not mine, barefoot, long-toed, uneven stride, like something had been following me. Or leading, around midday, I saw movement ahead. Another hiker, relief, flooded. In maybe help, but as I got closer, I froze. The man was wearing the exact same clothes as me, same pack, same boots. He was walking slowly, facing away. Then he stopped, tilted his head slightly, and without turning around, he said, "You're almost there, keep walking." I stepped back, but when I looked behind me, the trail was gone. Just dense trees, no opening, no way back, only forward. That night, I didn't sleep. The woods were too quiet. Not peaceful watching at some point. I heard it again, footsteps behind me. They always stopped when I stopped. Then I heard breathing, heavy, wet, right behind my neck. I ran. Branches tore at my arms. The trail twisted, narrowed, then split, then vanished. None of it made sense, until suddenly I was back at the crooked cedar tree where I'd camped the night before. Same boulder, same dent in the leaves where my tent had been. But now the air was dead still, and the sky overhead completely black. No stars, no moon, just blackness. Like the world outside the trail no longer existed. I tried cutting through the woods, didn't matter which way I turned. Every path led me right back to the cedar, and every time I returned, there was another copy of me, standing watching, silent by the fourth loop. There were 4 of me, each version a little different. Eyes, duller skin, more pale. One of them smiled. Then I saw the 5th one. It didn't have a face at all, just stretched skin, where eyes and mouth should be. It raised a hand, pointed back into the trees, and in my voice it whispered, "Keep walking." But it wasn't me. Eventually, I found a road. It led to a town I'd never heard of. Signs faded. People strange. They wouldn't look at me directly, just muttered things like, "He's still walking. Don't break the path." I hitched a ride out the next morning in a delivery truck. When I got home, everything seemed normal, except the mirrors. Now, when I pass by one, I don't always see myself. Sometimes I see him still hiking, still smiling, still whispering, "Keep walking." Next time a trail feels different behind you, don't turn around. The moment you do, the woods start choosing what walks out.
Second story.
My uncle once warned me, if the woods around you suddenly go quiet, no wind, no birds, no bugs, leave fast. And whatever you do, don't shout your name. He was dead serious. I laughed. I shouldn't have. It was the second weekend of November when we drove into the mountains. I was with 2 friends, Caleb and Joe. We'd hunted these woods for years, but this time Caleb wanted to try a new spot he'd found online. Old timber pocket near Red Hollow, he said. No one hunts there anymore. The road in was a gravel vein winding through dense oaks and poplars. We parked near a rusted cattle gate, climbed over, and started hiking. It felt different almost immediately. The forest was too quiet. No birds, no insects, not even wind. And the trees were wrong, too straight, too smooth. Almost fake. We didn't talk much. Something about that place made it feel like we were trespassing, even though the map marked it as public land. We set up camp before dark, about a mile in, built a fire, told stories, tried to shake the weird feeling. It helped until the first snap in the woods. We all froze. Then came the slow crunch of leaves, like someone walking in a wide circle around us. I called out, "Who's there?" No answer. Joe scanned the woods with his flashlight. Nothing. Then total silence again. Caleb said it was probably a deer, but he didn't sound convinced. We turned in, but I barely slept. Around 2 a.m., I heard it, a whisper just outside the tent, soft, drawn. Out. My name, but wrong, off, like someone trying to remember how to say it. I bolted upright. The fire was out. The woods dead silent again. Then I heard footsteps, slow, careful, circling the tent. I grabbed my flashlight and unzipped the flap. No one, but on the ground, right in front of the tent, to bare footprints, long, wide, like someone who hadn't worn shoes in years. In the morning, we found a trail, not the one we came in on. It curved unnaturally, like it had grown overnight. Caleb wanted to follow it, said it might lead to a ridgeline he remembered. We argued, but followed. That's when things got worse. Every time we turned around, the forest behind us looked different. The trees had shifted. Landmarks vanished. At one point, we saw fresh deer. Tracks ahead that we followed them, but the tracks ended abruptly. In the center of a clearing, nailed to a tree, a rabbit skull, fresh blood still dripping. Below it, a torn strip of flannel shirt. Same pattern Joe was wearing, except Joe was standing right beside me, staring at it too. That's when we decided to go back, but the trail was Gone completely. We tried GPS. The compass spun in circles. Then Joe said, "Wait, where's Caleb?" He'd been right behind us. We'd backtracked for 10 minutes. Nothing. We called his name. And that's when the woods answered. His voice came back. "Over here." But something was wrong. It echoed from every direction. Too loud, too clear. We ran. We found Caleb standing alone in a narrow gulch, eyes wide, hands trembling. He looked at us and whispered, "Don't say your name." Then he collapsed. We dragged him back to the clearing and waited. When he came to, he couldn't explain what happened. He said he'd heard someone copying us, repeating everything we said, just a few seconds too late. Even our breathing. Every trail led him deeper, until he found a grove where the trees had no shadows, and in the center, standing still, a figure with no mouth, just holes where eyes should be. Watching that night, we didn't sleep. Caleb said we shouldn't speak at all. Said if it learns your voice, it can find you faster. We agreed. The fire died again. The woods were so silent, I could hear my heartbeat. Then the whispers returned doe, surrounding us, all in our own voices, repeating things we'd said earlier. In the day, I think we should go back. Where's Caleb? Don't say your name, over and over. Then one new voice from above us found you. We ran, no gear, no plan, just ran. I don't remember how long. Eventually, we stumbled onto the same gravel road, same cattle gate, same truck. We drove in silence for over an hour. When we got back to town, we reported what happened. The ranger said we must have gotten turned around, blamed exhaustion, said there were no marked trails in that area, no logging records, no recent surveys, he said. Those woods haven't been touched in 40 years. 2 weeks later, Joe went back. Alone, said he had to prove it was real. They found his truck at the gate, still running, but no sign of him. Only a flannel shirt nailed to the same tree. And carved beneath it, he said his name. It's been 5 months. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and swear. I hear my own voice whispering from inside the closet. Only it's saying things I've never said. Next time the woods go quiet, don't speak. Don't even breathe. The moment you're recognized, it remembers you forever.
Third story.
My mum used to say, if a cabin's too cheap, it's not empty. Something stayed behind. I booked it anyway. I just wanted a quiet place to write. I got something else. I found the listing through an obscure cabin rental site. A small, secluded lodge deep in the Shenandoah woods. No neighbors, no signal, no cameras. Photos looked rustic but cozy. A fireplace, wooden beams, a porch swing seemed perfect. I'd been behind on deadlines and needed real solitude. 5 hours out of Richmond. No distractions. When I got there, the sun was setting behind a wall of pine. The cabin looked exactly like the pictures, just older. Not aged, but abandoned. The lockbox opened on the first try. Inside was a folded paper note on the table. No mirrors, no whistles. Don't open the attic. I laughed. Figured it was someone's idea of a creepy welcome. That night, I lit a fire, made tea, opened my laptop. The silence was beautiful. For about an hour, then came the footsteps. At first, I thought it was the house settling. But the steps kept going. Back and forth, measured, slow. I froze. They were coming from inside the walls. I pressed my ear to the wooden paneling. It stopped, then a single knock, right behind my head. I checked every room. Nothing. No mice. No raccoons. No loose pipes. Just an empty cabin, except ... In the corner of the living room, a floorboard had shifted, like something had pushed up from underneath. The next day, I searched for signs of animals, found none, but inside the fireplace deep scratch. Marks leading outward, like something had tried to climb through. Later, I noticed something else. The cabin layout didn't make sense. 2 rooms shared a wall, but there was no shared window, no connecting door, like there was space between them, a space that wasn't on the floor plan. That night, it started again. Footsteps, inside the walls, pacing, then stopping, then Dash whispers, not clear at first. Then I realized it was my voice, repeating the exact words I'd spoken out loud earlier that day. I should have left, but I didn't. I put on headphones, tried to sleep. Didn't help. At 3:12 a.m., I woke up to the smell of wet soil and mold, and breathing not mine. I opened my eyes and saw something standing in the corner, but only in the black reflection of my laptop screen. Tall, bent forward, skin the color of ash, like it didn't know how to stand upright. It slowly turned its head and smiled. I spun around. The corner was empty. The next morning, I packed, opened the front door and saw the same cabin again, same porch, same moss, same light, like I'd opened the door into itself. I slammed it shut, ran to the window, nothing but trees on every side, like the cabin had shifted, or the forest had. I shouted, "Hello." Something answered in my voice, deeper, "Come to the attic." I hadn't touched the attic door, but that night it creaked open by itself, and footsteps began moving above me. The cabin didn't have a second floor. I grabbed a lantern, sat by the fireplace, knife in hand, waiting. Then came the whistling off key, slow, like a broken music box. It came from the walls again. Then a knock at the front door. I looked through the peephole. A copy of me stood outside, smiling, whistling in its hand. The exact same note I'd found on the table. Only now there was an extra line. You broke the silence. I blacked out before sunrise. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor of my apartment in Richmond. My laptop beside me, cold, unopened, no signs I'd ever left, except my email had a draft open, just one line, typed over and over. It walks when we sleep. It learns through us. That was 3 months ago. I haven't slept through the night since. Sometimes, when I walk past a dark window or screen, I see a version of me's staring in, mouth moving, saying the same thing every time. Come to the attic, next time a cabin feels to still don't listen for sounds. It's already listening to you.